Hello, everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are diving into a crisis so severe, so frightening, and so close to the breaking point that even global experts are calling it one of the worst unfolding humanitarian disasters of our generation. This is the story of how Iran, a nation with thousands of years of history, cities built in deserts, and civilizations flourishing on ancient water systems, is now facing a reality so harsh that more than 10 million people could soon find themselves without the most basic element of survival, water. This is not just a drought. This is not just climate change. This is a multi-layered collapse, a man-made, nature-fueled, politically ignored emergency that is reaching the point of no return. Iran's water crisis didn't begin overnight, but today, the country stands at a place where the taps in major cities like Tehran, Isfahan, Yazd, Mashhad, Shiraz, and Ovaz could run dry. For millions of families, the fear is not just losing water. It's losing their homes, their farms, their ability to live where their ancestors lived for centuries. And the terrifying part is that this crisis is accelerating. Every month the aquifers sink deeper. Every week, lakes shrink further. Every day, the temperature rises. And every hour, the gap between water demand and water availability gets wider. Experts say Iran's water problem is the result of three disasters colliding at the same time: decades of mismanagement, extreme overuse, and worsening climate stress. For more than 40 years, Iran dug deep wells across the country, pumping groundwater as if it would last forever. For political reasons, water was used to boost agriculture even when the land couldn't handle it. Rivers were diverted to different provinces. Dams were built everywhere, many without proper environmental planning. And now the price has come due. The ancient underground aquifers that sustained life for thousands of years are collapsing. In some regions, the land is sinking, literally sinking, because the water beneath the ground is gone. The government tried to hide this problem for years, but satellite images, leaked reports, farmers' protests, drying rivers, and dying farmlands forced the reality into global attention. The famous Lake Urmia, once one of the world's largest saltwater lakes, has shrunk by more than 90%. The Zayandeh River in Isfahan, once a symbol of life, now often sits as a dry, cracked basin. Karan River, which once nourished millions, has become polluted, depleted, and unpredictable. Even Tehran's water supply, which relies heavily on rainfall and dwindling reservoirs, is stretched to the breaking point. The scariest part is that Iran's population has grown at the exact same time its water resources have collapsed. The country has 88 million people, but only enough renewable water for maybe 40 million. This means nearly half the country is surviving on water that simply doesn't exist anymore. And when a nation consumes more water than nature can replace, a point eventually arrives where the system completely breaks. Experts call this the day zero moment. Iran is now approaching it faster than anyone predicted. Families are already feeling the pressure. Many villages have lost all their drinking water and now survive only through water tankers that arrive once or twice a week, if at all. Imagine living in a village where you don't turn on a tap because there is no tap. You wait for a truck. You fill buckets. You store water in plastic containers. You ration every drop. And if the truck doesn't come, you go thirsty. This is already happening. More than 1,000 villages across Iran depend entirely on tankers. And this number is growing. Farmers are also collapsing under this crisis. Farmland that fed millions for generations is turning into dust. Crops are failing. Wells are drying. Farmers have begun massive protests in multiple cities because they no longer have water to grow wheat, barley, fruits, or vegetables. Entire agricultural regions may soon have to be abandoned, leaving millions without jobs and cities without food supplies. This is not just an environmental crisis. It is an economic, social, political, and humanitarian earthquake. At the same time, climate change has made everything worse. Iran is heating faster than the global average. Summers are becoming unbearable. Rainfall is decreasing year after year. Dust storms are increasing, creating a dangerous feedback loop. The less water there is, the more dust storms form, and the more dust storms there are, the less rain falls. Scientists call this a collapse loop. Once a region enters it, escaping becomes nearly impossible. Cities like Tehran are facing a level of pressure never seen before. Right now, Tehran uses far more water than its natural supply. The city imports water from mountains and distant dams, but even those reservoirs are shrinking. Officials privately warn that one bad drought year could push Tehran into emergency rationing. Imagine a capital city of 9 million people with limited water supply. Imagine the chaos, the panic, the migration, the desperation. And then there is the political angle. Iran's leadership is under enormous pressure because the people are demanding answers. They want solutions, but the truth is there are no quick fixes left. Desalination is expensive and requires energy resources Iran struggles to provide. Massive infrastructure changes could take decades. Groundwater refilling may take centuries, and climate change is accelerating faster than Iran can adapt to it. This crisis is also triggering a wave of internal migration. Families are fleeing dry, drought regions, and moving toward areas that still have water. This is creating new conflicts between provinces. Iran is facing something the government never imagined: water refugees inside its own borders. Millions could be displaced in the coming decade if the crisis continues at this pace. Some experts warn of something even darker: the potential collapse of major cities. If water supply reaches the breaking point, the government may be forced to evacuate tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands, of people from drought-stricken regions. This would be one of the largest internal displacements in modern history. The Iranian people, however, have always shown incredible resilience. Communities are trying to save water, switching to drought-resistant crops, improving irrigation, and demanding reforms. But they cannot solve this crisis alone. It requires national-level transformation, international support, and a long-term strategy that goes beyond politics and focuses on survival. The world is watching closely because Iran's crisis could become a blueprint for other countries facing water shortages. From Pakistan to Egypt to parts of the United States, water scarcity is becoming one of the defining threats of the 21st century. Iran is the warning sign of what happens when nature and mismanagement collide. But at the center of all this suffering is the human story. The mother who fills a single jug of water for an entire family. The farmer who watches his crops die. The child who grows up believing that water is a luxury. The old man who remembers rivers flowing, lakes shining, forests green, and now sees only dust. These are the real victims of Iran's water collapse. And as this crisis deepens, Iran faces a future where life will become a battle, not against another nation, not against ideology, but against thirst. And when thirst becomes stronger than politics, stronger than power, stronger than fear, it changes everything. A nation cannot survive without water, a civilization cannot thrive without rivers, and a future cannot exist without hope. Today, the thirst of 10 million people is not just a statistic. It is a warning, it is a cry for help. It is a countdown, and unless drastic action is taken, Iran may soon face the unthinkable, an irreversible collapse of its water systems.